felt like I was different since I was little. When I was only 6 or 7 years old, I used to say that sometimes I talked to beings that no one saw. Some of the elders of my family took this situation seriously, while others saw it as imagination, just because I was a child. But over time, I began to feel that what I was seeing and feeling was not just imaginary. I had my first big experience when I was about 10 years old. Shadows entering my room at night, words whispered in my ears, and sometimes information suddenly dawning on me. At first I was very afraid, but then I began to understand that this was a talent given to me. I started to see things about the future in my dreams, and most of the time these things were happening. I lost my mother and father at a young age. I was staying with my grandmother in her village. He loved me very much and was always thinking about me. One night while I was sleeping, I heard a noise. I understood that they were calling me, and it was the first time I had encountered such an invitation, although I had communicated before. Although I first thought that my grandmother was calling me, I realized that it was them who were the voices coming from the depths. I walked around the garden of the house, and there was no one there. There was no one in the village at night. There were only a few streetlights and the sounds of dogs barking in the distance. I had a feeling he was telling me to go to the cemetery. The cemetery was located at the entrance of the village. Without hesitation, I started to leave without informing anyone. It was like I was in a dream, and I didn't know what I would encounter. When I arrived at the cemetery entrance, I noticed that there was a dog at the door. The dog came to me without making a sound. He was just walking around me. When I entered the cemetery, the dog had moved away from me. The more I looked around, the more I started to see different things. A wedding was being held at the cemetery. There were people I hadn't seen in the village before. I didn't know any of them. I realized at that moment that they were not really human. A very ugly old woman walking with a cane through the crowd was walking towards me. He came up to me and stroked my head. He started reading things I didn't understand by saying my name. He said that he told me that he knew my family, but that I should not tell anyone that I had seen him. We met there, and he told me that you are one of us now, and poured the water he took out of his pocket on me. I didn't understand what was going on at the time. When I woke up in the morning, I remembered everything, but I had no idea how I got back home. At first, I thought I was dreaming, but I learned over time that things were different. During my egoism, my interest in the mystical world increased more and more. When I first picked up the tarot cards, I realized that I was talking to them as if. I could feel their energy. As I looked at people's fortunes, as I began to know details about their lives, I realized that this path was my destiny. I'm going to make a more detailed video about my first contact with demons, my experiences, and the spells I did. Know the value of every moment you live. Never lose your energy and joy.